How many of you have heard about the urban legend of the black-eyed children? These mysterious kids with pure black eyes, asking to be let inside your home or car. Some say they're demons, others think they're aliens or something far worse. Today we dive into the horrifying encounters people have had with them. My grandma used to tell me about this. But back then I was so small that I never really understood it or bothered to ask more. It was just another spooky story to me, one I'd quickly forget and move on with my childish worries. But now as I dig deeper, I realize those old stories weren't just tales meant to scare kids. Because every time I research more about the black-eyed children, the same chill runs down my spine. They say if you ever encounter them, it feels like you're trapped in a nightmare. Your body senses something wrong even before your mind fully understands it. People who have encountered them describe the experience as something that feels real, too real to just be a hallucination. The story begins with a man named David, a truck driver who often traveled late at night. One cold night, he was parked at a rest stop, trying to catch some sleep before continuing his journey. Suddenly, there was a soft knock on his truck's door. Confused and sleepy, David looked out the window and saw two children standing in the darkness. A boy and a girl, both wearing outdated clothes, pale faces, and eyes that were completely black. They asked David for a ride, their voices calm but unnerving. David felt something was terribly wrong. His instincts told him not to open the door. He pretended not to hear them and stayed quiet. But the children didn't leave. They kept knocking, their voices becoming demanding. Terrified, David turned on the engine and drove away, never looking back. Even after years, he couldn't forget their lifeless, black eyes. Another encounter happened to Sarah, a young mother living in a quiet suburban neighborhood. One evening, she was home alone, her husband working late, and her daughter asleep upstairs. She was reading a book when a sudden knock on the door startled her. Through the peephole, she saw two children, a boy and a girl, their heads slightly lowered. They said they were lost and needed to use her phone. But something about them felt off. Their tone was flat, emotionless, and their eyes, just pure darkness. Sarah's heart raced, and her hands trembled as she stepped away from the door. She tried to convince herself it was just her imagination. But then she heard them again, their voices now coming from the back door. Panic washed over her as she called her husband, her voice shaky and filled with fear. When he returned home, the children were gone. But the memory of their hollow black eyes haunted her for months. Then there was Michael, a night guard working at a remote warehouse. His job was mostly boring, just patrolling the empty halls and keeping an eye on security cameras. But one night, something unexpected happened. As he was doing his rounds, he heard faint laughter echoing from outside. It sounded like children playing, which made no sense at such an hour. Curious and a little worried, Michael checked the security monitors. That's when he saw them. Two kids standing at the entrance gate, motionless, just staring into the camera. Their faces were pale, eyes blacker than night, and their smiles, twisted and unnatural. The kids never moved, never spoke, just stared into the camera as if they knew Michael was watching. He couldn't move, frozen by the unnatural chill running down his spine. When he finally gained the courage to look again, the kids were gone. But the eerie feeling stayed with him, and he quit his job soon after. Then there's Ethan, a teenager who loved exploring abandoned places with his friends. They visited an old, rundown house known for strange sightings. As they wandered inside, they found themselves drawn to the basement, where the air felt heavy and cold. That's when they heard the faint sound of children whispering. The whispers grew louder, as if the kids were circling them. One of Ethan's friends dared him to open a rusty door. As he did, two figures stood at the doorway. Two children, their faces pale and eyes black as night. They didn't speak. They just stared. Terrified, Ethan and his friends ran out of the house, their hearts pounding. But Ethan swears to this day that he sometimes hears the whispers at night. Stories of black-eyed children have been reported all over the world. The encounters are different, but the horror is always the same. These children always ask to be let inside. But once you do, no one knows what happens next. Some believe they're spirits, others think there's something far more sinister. But one thing is clear: if you ever encounter the black-eyed children, never let them in. The real question is, what would you do if they came knocking at your door one dark and quiet night?